Hello, hello. We are doing a car cast today for Ignorance is Not Bliss. I wanted to make an episode last night before my family went on vacation, but spent some time with my niece. I figured that was more important. She was spending a couple days with us, and it was her last night hanging out, so we were watching some TV, eating some candy.
Learned that she's a freak.
Yeah, she's a crazy 9-year-old. Another crazy woman, just like my wife.
You're just jealous.
So, yeah. Anyways, what I wanted to talk today about, the main thing the first thing I wanted to talk about was, I've been playing a game recently. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's called Kenshi. So just starting off this episode, just kind of going to talk about Kenshi for a little bit. And that'll kind of tie into a subject later. By the way, we are out here in the beautiful California mountains. There's a Cybertruck.
Going the speed limit. Go faster.
We're going to Bridgeport, California. Very old city in California. I think one of the oldest or the first courthouses ever established in California.
One of the oldest jails.
Bringing the way of the West, the Western civilization showing up in Mono County, Mono Lake. That was kind of like one of the first places they got to in California before they got like all the way to the coast, San Francisco and stuff. But
they would deliver oysters from San Francisco to
they would bring later on. It's a very Bridgeport was kind of overshadowed by Bodie, which is one of the most famous mining towns in California and the West as well. And it was a huge mining town that is actually now a ghost town, one of the biggest cities in California at the time. And super interesting place. But yeah, so Kenshi is and maybe I'll do another phone cast later on in the town of Bridgeport, like a little one or something, or maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Kind of just show you guys some of the cool history out here. I don't know. This is my first time doing anything on a phone, but here we are. So, yeah, we can do videos with the camera facing away from me, so I don't have to wear this out in public. I mean, I wouldn't mind too much, but I might get the cops called on me. So there's not many people out in Bridgeport wearing ski masks. You know, it's not like Oakland.
Put you in that one
if
zone.
anyone sees you wearing a ski mask, you're gonna be like, what the hell are you doing out here? So Kenshi is a really, really cool game, really cool RPG, made by one guy, and his sister like helped him write a bunch of the dialogue, I guess, and writing in the game, but he pretty much solo developed this game for 7 years and made a really intricate world. But the concept I want to talk about, the really cool part I want to talk about it today, or that's been really intriguing me in my brain, is his story that he built. So the world that he built seems to be more like our history than what our actual history you've been taught is, like the real history of humanity right now on Earth. And so in the world of Kenshi, it's like a moon, and it's a moon for a planet like in a distant solar system or somewhere. We don't really know much about it. It's not Earth though, where Kenshi takes place. And so at some point a human civilization came and colonized this moon, you know, like when they came, like, the Kenshi timeline has it about like 2,000-3,000 years ago the first humans came, and it was called the First Empire, and they were the most advanced, and they were a spacefaring civilization. They had spacecraft that came to the moon, and they colonized it through some very advanced machinery. They made the soil, they terraformed the planet and had huge advanced machinery buildings and stuff. And eventually, due to unknown reasons, the First Empire collapsed. which kind of has like, there's some pieced together lore about it. It's kind of like they ended up eating themselves, really, you know, like it got too big and too powerful. Well, there's a bit more lore to it. There was an existential threat, and the humans built giant robots. And there's a sub race in there that's powered by AI called skeletons, which are like Terminators that can live forever. And so there were skeletons and humans, which are the same size, but they pretty much built the giant skeletons, which are giant AI like Terminators, to fight this threat. And at the end of the war, they were scared of what they'd built, so they buried the giants they built a huge, like huge pit, had the giants walk into it, and they filled the pit with metal. And you can still see the hands of the giants coming out, and it's a place called Obedience, and the story is called The Price of Obedience, and it brought about a revolution because the skeletons, who are the same size as the humans, saw that, and they revolted against humanity and destroyed the first empire. And then the second empire came later, like 1,000 years later, and they tried to, like, you know, rebuild humanity and you know, bring back civilization. And eventually there was a revolt from the Holy Nation because of the first betrayal by skeletons, and they like, you know, the second empire also collapsed, and now it's like splinter factions all around Kenshi, and it's just degraded, and it's like kind of just like a wasteland. And all this information is available to players, right? If you go throughout the world and read, it's hidden, it's not told to you, you have to find it. And the only way I even know most of this story is because people online have gathered all the parts and put it together out there. And so it's like, what I'm saying, what's really interesting is, it's a great game and the story's super cool, but it seems that this is actually more likely to be similar to human history now, I believe. So I believe that if you look at, like, so we were just listening to the Joe Rogan Experience, and he had a couple guests on recently talking about ancient civilizations. This is something I've been thinking about for years. I was kind of introduced to the idea from Graham Hancock, who talks about Atlantis and how he thinks that Atlantis was real and they had more advanced technology than us, and everybody has a flood myth. And, you know, you look into this, and that's kind of where it started for me. But through all other YouTubers and other ventures and other podcasts and tons of things about Egypt and all sorts of places, you start to see the crumbles
turn left onto California
in our historical narrative. You know, like, and so that's what I kind of wanted just to start out just talking about. Hey, Kenshi is one of the greatest RPGs I ever played. That guy is super smart and built a super cool world. But it's just like, kind of like recently as I've been playing it, you know, it's just kind of like tying it all together for me. And the part of the reason, like, we look at these structures primitively is because they're made of stone. And like, something different in Kenshi is it's like we easily recognize the structures from the first empire because they're made of metal. They're more advanced. Like, we instantly, like, you know, you're in the game, you're like, oh, that's an old building that we can't make anymore. Like, now everyone's got like mud huts in the current day in Kenshi. You know, like, society has regressed. And there's factions in society going around trying to find some information. Like, there's one faction called the Tech Hunters going around trying to piece all this together. And that's one of the cool things about living in today's age, is we are in the age of information, and it's not gate kept by all these fucking scholars or whatever the fuck. We are actually now, like, we have the Tech Hunters on Earth right now, and people are actually trying to figure out what the fuck happened. And that's pretty cool that we're actually getting somewhere. But like I was saying, most people, you know, you look at the pyramids and you think primitive because of the stone, and it's like, I've been remodeling my bathroom, and it's like, even today, the hardest thing for us to truly work with, metal's easy. It's stone. I'm doing tile with my brother-in-law. It's a fucking bitch. There's 17 fucking steps, and we do it the easy way. We use mortar, liquid stone, to make our stones fit wherever we want. Because the liquid, you can flex to any shape, you could do anything. The pyramids and these other buildings don't use mortar. So another thing is too, because most people are lazy fucks and they don't have construction jobs in America. Like, people don't actually understand how to build shit, how much work it is. So for me, it's like, ever since I was 18, it's like, yeah, I don't know how the fuck they built the pyramids. And everyone's like, look, they moved one block. Like, you can see the show. Like, it's like, dude, that they couldn't, like, the way you guys described they built them and when with hundreds of slaves, that's not fucking possible. It's not feasible. No one would commit that amount of work. You have to feed all those people, give them beer, it's insane amounts of work to do the pyramids. It's not even close. The pyramids aren't even close to like a fucking castle in Europe that was built over hundreds of years. The blocks are so fucking big and heavy, it's incomparable. And they moved them hundreds of miles. It's like, we moved a fucking really heavy block somewhere in California, and they had to build a custom truck with 300 tires. Do you understand that? Like, 300 inflated fucking wheels, 80 PSI or whatever the fuck, and gasoline powered engines to move one fucking brick. And some of them are larger that have been moved. So did they have a 300 fucking tire truck to move those? Well, they had to have something. The explanation that we have, I don't believe it's real. But it's like, you know, it's the way like it's been taught and how it's slipped under most people's mind is because you look at stone construction and you think primitive. You know what I mean? You think like, you don't, when you see metal and glass, you think more, I don't know, you think of more modern things, but stone is actually the most hard thing to construct. I like to work with. We work with concrete, the liquid stone, but like masons are really rare, and that's a skill, and it's really hard work too. It's like you have to be artsy, but you got to pick up fucking rocks like and shit, and like cutting rocks is not easy. It requires a diamond blade and water, and they had perfect cutting on a lot of these things. So the timeline is like, you know, you've been lied to, I think. And I think that we have something more similar to Kenshi. If you listen to the last two Joe Rogan guests, or not last two, but he had, what was that chick's name? Coppersmith or something? It's like 3 episodes ago. And then he had another guy on, which is after the girl, which I listened to yesterday. It was really good, talking about the giants of Kandahar. And that was a really interesting subject too. He's talking about giants and how he thinks the oldest story known to man is the Book of Enoch. And he thinks giants were the children of the gods that came down, and they helped build, like the gods gave us the technology to build the pyramids, and the giants also helped because they were great builders and strong, built these things. And the giants of Kandahar were some giants that he was talking about that they found in Afghanistan alive today, like living in caves, and they're 9 to 12 foot human beings that were like solid as fuck. And the elites, like Jeffrey Epstein, he talked about they believe in Baal. They believe there's powers in the giants' bones because they're like the gods or whatever. And so they took out the remains on a AC-130 or a C-130 in the middle of the night, and no one ever saw him again. They probably went to Epstein's ranch in Arizona, and he did some ritual with them. But like I said, the one thing I am glad about living in this fucking weird age of like history is it is the age of information for at least us. I mean, maybe
Turn right
the
on
true age of
4.89
information was
south.
like 12,000 years ago, you know? Like, it seems like they were more advanced than we are today. But we are certainly in like the age of information for our humankind, because these people that are actually seeking the truth right now on the human timeline can connect through the internet, and we can put these pieces together, and they're putting them together. You know, like in the 60s, this would be way harder to do because you'd have to go through like a paper, then you'd only get your story out maybe in America, you know what I mean? So it's like we can finally actually establish a real human timeline, I think, and that would be cool. And yeah, then there's like that pyramid, or like that temple that they were talking about on JRE in India, which is like a laser cut temple. Like
In the mountain.
they cut a temple out of the mountain from the top down with perfect symmetry and drainage and stuff like that. Here's another thing for all you fucking lazy fucks out there. You know how like you are like stupid, I don't know, incompetent. I hate soy boys. The thing is, if you can't, I don't need you to be like the hardest working man ever, but if you can't swing a hammer, like you can't actually like nail a nail in, it's you got to have some toughness. I don't know, but it's like when we build walls and build houses, we use lasers to center stuff perfectly and stuff. Like you take a laser thing, you set it in the center of the room, it shows you exactly. Like we use lasers to lay out things out. They're perfectly centered and shit like that. If you ever put a piece of drywall on, you measure it, and you're supposed to take a 1/4 inch off what you measure, because usually it doesn't fucking fit. If you just do like your exact measurement, it's too tight. So you take a 1/4 inch off, you come back, it still don't fucking fit. You gotta take like another 1/4 inch off. Like there are so many imperfections throughout buildings. Like we don't do, I mean, we do, there is like good construction work and stuff is centered, but like to do their level of preciseness, like to make a perfectly centered piece, they would need not, you can't really do it with an extremely long tape measure. Like you need like a laser, and you know what I mean? Like this accuracy is just beyond the explanation that they have, that these people are like hunter-gatherers at this time with copper hammers, and they're perfectly centering things in a room, making like carvings into rocks, moving 4-ton blocks hundreds of miles. It's insane. So I don't believe it, and like I don't even like think it's like a saying, it's like a theory anymore, this theory of ancient civilizations being smarter and more advanced. No, I think they were. And another thing about it too is like technology grows in different ways. So like now we have cars and things like that, but they might have had a different form of energy, and you know, like their machines could have been different than ours. So it's hard to imagine how it works, because it's like, you know, it's just a whole different way of thinking. It's hard to imagine something that you don't even know exists yet. But once it's kind of like, you know, it's like the galaxy and stars. Like humans didn't even really understand them, and then once we did, it's like, oh, that makes sense. But like until you learned about it, humans just looked up at the lights in the sky. You know, they didn't understand it at all, really. Like they understood the fucking their stars, and they move sometimes, and there's like constellations, but they thought the earth was flat and all the stars revolved around the earth, you know what I mean? So it's like, but once you learn about the sun and how everything rotates around the sun, then it makes sense. But you can't really envision something that you like don't even understand or know about at all. Let me show you some fire damage. California wildfires.
Speaking of which, are we doing the rest up or not, Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta go to the bathroom, take a little break.
More stuff for the children.
The children?